This is Jim Duffy of Refining Fire Chiles, and we're going to do a video showing you how we make some stuff and do some stuff. But what I wanted to show you first, before I go out in the back, we're going to show you how we do a transplant and how we prep for transplanting a chili plant. But before I go out there, I came out here to grab the bat guano, nitro bat guano, and I wanted to show you how we make bat guano tea. We go to Home Depot and we get these paint strainer net bags. And they're a couple bucks, and you can use them over and over and over again. And we load them with a couple cups of bat guano, and then we take a twist tie them tight, add hot water to a container, 1 to 2 gallons, and we let it soak for about 3 or 4 days. If you want to speed up the process, you can get a large pot of boiling water. Just don't pour it in the plastic container, because I've done that. And then put the bat guano into the pot of boiling water after it's off the stove, preferably out in your garage or your yard. And then let the bat guano soak in the boiling water till the boiling water starts cooling to where it's warm to the touch. Then take it and pour it into this container. And then the next day your bat guano tea will be ready. And you can probably use your bat guano tea bag, whatever you want to call it, multiple times to get bat guano tea. And then when you're done with the bat guano, you can spread it around your plants. You'll still get some stuff out of it. Okay? This is Roots Organic Nitro Bat Guano. I bought it on Amazon, but the hydroponic stores also carry it. They just didn't have the large bag. This is Nitro Bat Guano. So this is a bat guano that you would want to water in around your plants for growing. Then when they're starting to bloom a lot, or, say mid-August, depending on where you live. Mid-August is when I start in California. On the east, you might want to start beginning of August because you've got a shorter season. They have a bat guano that's higher in phosphorus and lower than nitrogen, so it'll still give your plants all the great things that bat guano will give it, but it will be lower on nitrogen, so it'll focus more on creating flower blooms and more peppers. So that's the bat guano tea. This is going to be a YouTube video, so you guys can go watch it. I'll also post it on Facebook later. And this is Jim Duffy of Refining Fire Chiles, superhotchiles.com. So we're going to go to the back, and I'm going to pause this till we get back there. Okay, we're back in my area right now, and what we're back in our area where we package up our plants for shipping and selling. That season's almost over. That'll end in the probably second week of August. So what I'm going to show you is what we put in the plant hole when we transplant our established starter plant. What we put in the plant hole. Now, there's a lot of people that mix a whole bunch of this stuff I'm going to show you into their soil. And that's great. But I found out that you can use less of these ingredients if you put it in close proximity or closer location to the root ball or the main roots of the plant. So, what I put in each plant hole is a teaspoon of Epsom salts. What we're going to add new in is about a half cup of bat guano, bat poop, a cup of worm castings, about a quarter cup of azomite micronized mineral powder. Now this is trace minerals. We'll go over all these here. And then the final thing, this all goes in layers. Right, making contact with my roots is Extreme Gardening Mycorrhiza, or mycos for short, which is a living fungi, or makes living soil, living microbial, microorganisms. Living microorganisms that help your root connect with the nutrients in the soil, making living soil. That's the purpose of a compost heap, is you have living, alive soil with bacteria and fungi, functioning in harmony with the roots of plants, trees, bushes, whatever, and keeping the soil alive. Poisons kill the soil. Too much synthetic fertilizer. I use some synthetic fertilizer, but too much synthetic fertilizer and, of course, pesticides will kill the microorganisms in the soil, and eventually you just have dead soil. Okay? So mycos puts that back. Also, there are microorganisms in bat guano and in worm castings, and, of course, in a compost heap. So let's go over all these really quick. Okay, this is Epsoc brand Epsom salts. We're only going a teaspoon. That's the first thing going in the plant hole. I mean a tablespoon. You can buy this directly from the San Francisco Salt Company. Okay? And this is, I think, oh my goodness, 15 pounds, 20 pounds. I'm not sure how much this bag is. I'm not seeing it on the front. Let me look around the back. I'm not seeing the quantity of it. Anyway, I think it's like about 15 or 20 pounds. All right. You could also buy this on Amazon, and if you have Prime shipping on Amazon, it's free shipping. Now, you can also do something like this. Buy these Epsom salts by Monterey, and they'll sell them in a nursery or Home Depot or even in a hydroponic store. And check it out. You will pay for this small bottle of Epsom salts. You will pay probably about 15 bucks. You will pay for like about 20 pounds of this actually better quality Epsom salt called Epsoak, about 30 bucks. If you're a Prime member on Amazon, you'll get it shipped free. So, no brainer. This is the one to buy. Epsom salts keep forever. You can use it in the bath to relax your muscles, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, Epsom salts can be fed to the plants every other week at a dilution of a tablespoon per gallon. Shake it up really good because it doesn't dissolve right away. Okay? You also can go with a tablespoon per gallon dilution and put it in a hose sprayer or a pump sprayer and mist your leaves in the evening. It'll feed through the leaves. Epsom salts does a lot for your roots and your growing. Just telling you, it does a lot. I could talk about an hour for Epsom salts, but I'm not. I'll let you guys do the research. Okay, the next thing I'm going to put in a plant hole, and we didn't do this in all our plants this year. We used a product that contained bat guano called One Shot Granular by a company out of Oregon, Nectar for the Gods. Now, it's a little pricey, but it's got a whole bunch of stuff wrapped into one with mycorrhiza, and it may be the way to go. They're, however, suggesting you mix in a couple cups per pot, and at that rate, you'll spend a lot of money. I only went about a half a cup to a cup per plant hole, okay? But for all intents and purposes, if you don't want to order through that company, and you don't want to go to the trouble of having a 50-pound bag shipped to you or whatever it comes in, 25-pound bag, you can buy the bat guano pretty cheap. For a bag about this size, about 30-something bucks on Amazon, maybe cheaper at your local hydroponic store or nursery. And you don't have to get this brand. But this is the Nitro brand, so this is more for growing. And then they have the other one, which is more for blooming. So there's two kinds of bat guano. And I just showed you in the beginning of the video how you can make tea with either one. So we're going to put about a half a cup of that in the plant hole. Then we're going to put 1 cup of worm castings. Now there's all kinds of worm castings out there. This is by the company AgroWin. But you can also get Worm Gold and others. Worm castings is pretty much worm castings. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, our worm castings has all these extra minerals and blah, 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 and all this stuff in it. It's twice the price. Don't worry about it. You know, worm castings is worm castings. And you can also make a worm tea out of this, like the bat guano tea. Same way. Okay? So we're going to put in the next in the plant hole 1 cup of worm castings. Then we're going to go about a 1/4 cup of this trace mineral powder. Now, it's kind of like from volcanic ash. It's also called rock dust. It's mined from granite and other stuff. This brand name is called azomite. A lot of you probably heard of it. We're going to put a 1/4 cup of that in the plant hole. AgroWin also makes rock dust like this too. They may not call it rock dust. So the company AgroWin also sells it. You can usually get it at hydroponic stores in as small as a 1-pound bag or as big as a 44-pound or 50-pound bag. It's about $1 a pound. I put a 1/4 cup in the hole. Then right before we put the plants in, we put right where it touches the roots is the mycos. Extreme Gardening Mycorrhiza Granular is one of the best I've found. There's other ones called Mycoblast, and there's other companies. There's wettable powder ones. The wettable powder ones stick to everything. This is easier to handle, and it breaks down and feeds the plants. This goes in all my potted plants that I sell and all my plants I grow. Everything I sell gets an inoculation. We call it an inoculation with mycos or mycorrhiza. Okay, Extreme Gardening. You can find these, most of this stuff I just showed you can find online at a good quality nursery or at a hydroponic store. But I recommend if you're going to get the Epsom salts, buy it online directly from San Francisco Salt Company or Amazon. Now, the company I use locally also sells online, is San Diego Hydroponics and Organics. They're all over San Diego County. You can find all this there except for the Epsom salts. You can find the worm castings, the azomite, everything there if you're local in San Diego or in Orange County. But they don't have the Epsoak. They only have that Epsom salts. So don't buy the Epsom salts there. Buy the Epsom salts online. Again, you'll save. It keeps forever. Okay? So San Diego Hydroponics and Organics. So now we're going to go back to the grow area and show you the planting. Okay? So hold on. Before we go back to the planting area, I'm going to show you one of the soils I use. It's from SunGrow, and it's called Sunshine Growers Mix Number 1. It's a professional growing mix. It's made from peat and perlite. This is a 3.8 cubic foot bale. It's compressed, so this will fill up about 4 or 5 15-gallon pots, probably about 4. And it's got perlite in it and sphagnum peat moss. Holds moisture really good. There's a little bit of nutrient in it, but not much. So basically, this is something to keep your plant healthy. So it's well-drained soil, and so it also keeps it moist longer. All right? But I don't use this on all my growing because it would be thousands of dollars. That's about 30 to 40 bucks a bag. You can also get Pro Mix by Premier Horticulture. Pretty much the same formulation. Then I'm going to show you the premium soil mix over here that we're using for these last couple pots, because this is the last pots I'm potting up for the year. Okay? So this is Fox Farm Ocean Forest. Now, Ocean Forest is more expensive. A 1.5 cubic bale costs probably about 15, 16 bucks in most places, unless you can get a deal from your hydroponic store or nursery, or you order a pallet or whatever. But this has all kinds of stuff from the ocean, kelp and crab meal and all this great stuff. The Fox Farm also makes another formulation called Happy Frog that has worm castings and all kinds of other stuff. And Happy Frog is good. Only reason I don't like Happy Frog is that when it was drying out in my smaller pots, it would get kind of hard, like a concrete. And I just didn't like that when it dried out. When this stuff dries out, it's still kind of soft and fluffy. So that's the only reason I don't like Happy Frog. But Happy Frog is pretty much a nutrient soil like this with sphagnum moss and perlite. Okay? Now this over here, I wanted to show you, is a compost that almost looks like it's soil, because it's breaking down already. Okay, it's not a compost where it's all wood chips, although you see some chunks in there. Okay, if you live in San Diego, there's a place called San Diego Rock Supply. This stuff works. I have this in almost all my pots now. And basically, it holds moisture and it drains well, just as good as the expensive soil mixes. And it's a vegetative compost. That means there's no manure, cow pee, cow poo, any kind of animal stuff in here. It's all decayed plant matter, which is what your soil is, basically, that you live on. This is $30 a yard. You know, a yard fills up the bed of an average size pickup truck. Not a huge one, but an average size. So this is a big savings over buying this for every single large pot, or the other stuff like Pro Mix or that everything. But this I can get by me. You might want to check out your local landscaping places that sell rock, gravel, and compost. But let me caution you. I've had some friends buy some compost at their local areas, and when they went to grow in it, the plants did crappy. So you might want to do a couple test plants one year in some pots and see if it works as good as the stuff I get. It may or may not, because every state's going to use different plants to make their compost. And the plants they use for the compost by you might not be good for chilies. It might be good for rose bushes in your lawn, but they might not be good for chilies. I'm just saying, you might want to check it out, experiment, and see how your plants grow in it. And do it in a larger pot, because chili plants, baby chili plants, don't do good in this because it's very dense when they're tiny, like when they're little seedlings. If you're going to do little seedlings, you want to grow in something like that so the plant can grow easy when it's a tiny baby. Okay, so here's our pots. We do have Ocean Forest in these pots because I didn't want to go to San Diego Rock Supply and get myself a whole another yard of soil. So I just bought a couple bags of Ocean Forest to finish off the season. We're going to be transplanting some Helix Nebula space chili plants into the pots. Now, before we transplant, we're going to pull off those lower leaves and we're going to get rid of this chili because we want this plant to start growing. So if we leave chilies on these little baby plants or a whole bunch of flowers, the plant's going to focus on growing chilies before it even gets big enough to make a lot of chilies. We want it to get bigger and grow a lot of chilies. So we're going to pick off this chili and pick off a couple flowers and pick off these lower bottom leaves. Okay, so we've already soaked the pots really well, okay, and dug a hole. Got to dig a hole, put the plant in, right? So here's our hole over here. So we're going to show you what we're going to do. We're going to put in our teaspoon Epsom salts. Oops, we spilled a little bit, so we'll have to go pick it up. All right. Then we're going to put in our half a cup of bat guano. Okay. Might push it down there a little bit. Then we're going to put in our 1 cup of worm castings. Got to make the hole deep enough because once you add this stuff in, the hole starts getting filled up. Then the next thing we're going to put in is our trace mineral powder, or macro mineral, or rock dust, or volcanic dust, or whatever you want to call it. This supplies trace minerals to the plants. All this is going to be where the first roots grow down to, are going to grow down to all this stuff. That's why I'm not mixing this in the whole pot. Why? I'll just put it right below the plant, and the plant will get it right there. It'll be like you go to the store around the corner, or you go to the store 10 miles away. Which is easier? Store around the corner. So I put everything in the plant hole to prep it. I do feed through drip irrigation, as you guys can see. CalMag nutrients, some nitrogen nutrients, bat guano tea, and Epsom salts. I'd go through the drip system. That's another video. All right. Now the final thing I'm going to put in is the mycorrhiza powder. Okay, now that's in. Now we're going to take the plant. See how good my camera skills are. And we pulled out the plant. And here's the plant. Nice, healthy roots. So what we're going to do is we're going to break up these roots. Now if I had 2 hands, I would just pull them apart with 2 hands. But I don't because I'm holding the camera. Okay? Then we're going to put the plant into the plant hole. We're going to plant it extra deep. Okay? And we're going to put the soil, pack it around the plant. Now, since there's living microorganisms in the worm castings and in the bat guano, if you feed a tablespoon of molasses, unsulfured or blackstrap molasses, mix it in hot water first so it kind of dissolves, shake it up, and you feed your plants about a cup of that every week for the first like 3-4 weeks, you will increase the population of microorganisms. Or you could go every 2 weeks. Then we're going to pinch off this chili. We don't want that chili on there. We want the plant to grow. We don't want it to grow a big chili in the beginning. And we're going to pinch off these lower leaves. Okay. So there we have our Helix Nebula plant is planted. Okay, to go over what we put in the plant hole was a tablespoon of Epsom salts was the first thing that went in the hole. And then the second thing that went in the hole was the bat guano, about a half a cup. Then we went a full cup of worm castings. Then we went about a 1/4 cup of the rock dust or mineral trace mineral powder. And then we went a teaspoon of the mycorrhiza or mycos. Okay, so now we just water it and don't let it get too moist. Now we are planting about 2 hours before dark. That's the best time to plant, because when you break the roots apart on these babies, they shock a little bit. It's traumatizing, you know? So you want to do it right before dark, an hour or 2 before dark. And then your plant has all night long to relax. I don't recommend transplanting into full sun. When you transplant, if possible, transplant if the next few days are going to be cloudy. Transplant your plants in the shade in pots. Let them stay in the shade for a couple days or indirect sun, and then gradually move them out to where you're going to grow them the rest of the season. Okay? But I don't recommend you transplant a baby plant, blam, into full sun. It just, if you got the hot, intense California sun or Southwest sun, it just beats them up. So whatever you can do to minimize that till the plant recovers and starts spreading its roots out on its own, you want to do. So that's how we transplant a plant. Let's go back to the grow area and show you everything one more time. I know I'm repeating myself, but hey, I want you guys to get stuff like this. I want all my customers to grow well. And don't get me wrong, we get growing problems. We have some plants that just don't do as well as others. But everything I did is what I did in these plants, with the exception of these didn't get back guano. They got one-shot granular, which has back guano. But next year, I'll make the decision whether I'm going to buy a bunch of back guano or buy a bunch of one-shot granular. And I may do both. Both. There's the nursery. We're walking by the nursery. Still have plants for sale at superhotchilies.com till the second week of August, and then we shut down. There we go. Well-started plants. Okay. So, in the plant hole, Epsom salts first, back guano second, worm castings third, azomite mineral rock dust or agruin mineral rock dust, volcanic rock dust fourth, finally, mycorrhiza. Okay? And this is me, Refining Fire Chilies. Plants, seeds, dried peppers, wholesale seeds, wholesale dried peppers, dried powders, wholesale plants when we got them, wholesale fresh peppers 2 months out of the year, but you got to reserve a year in advance. That's Refining Fire Chilies, www.superhotchilies.com. You guys take care. I hope this helped. I'm going to make 2 more videos, short videos, on organic pest control. God bless. And have a great 4th of July. This is the 4th of July.